Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the BashTalk podcast. Today I've got a special guest, which is Dr. Harris Akhtar from Burnley, Burnley born and bred. And Harris, if you can just start us off and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, as you were saying, I'm a doctor. I've been working as a doctor for over 15 years now. So, born in Birmingham, but bred in Burnley.
Ah, right.
Yeah, we came quite early. I must have been less than 1 year of age, to be fair,
Right,
when we
right.
came. And yeah, all my schooling, all my education's been done in Burnley. Uh, Grew up around Turf Moor.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're aware of Leyland Road and
Yeah,
the
definitely.
cricket club and
Yeah.
all that. So one brother, one sister. My father was a teacher, was an imam, then became a teacher, and now he's retired. Alhamdulillah, he's still in fantastic health, and just grew up around that area. Did all my education and ended up at medical school somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Sheffield Medical School completed my kind of training, and I've been working in Blackburn and Burnley ever since.
All right. So even from a medical standpoint, you're based here now. So
Full on, yeah. So I've been a GP for like 10, well, over 10 years, 12 years, I'd say, since
mhm.
2012. And initially, I worked as what we call a locum. So, locum
Yeah.
can work pretty much anywhere they want. And then I've become a partner at a Riverside family practice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
at St. Peter Centre.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I've been a partner there for 8 years now.
No, good.
Yeah, there's two of us. There's me and Dr. Nadeem, and quite a lot of the patients are, well, it's quite a diverse population, but then a lot of the kind of apnea patients end up coming to
Yeah.
see me. But it's really kind of pleasure to be able to serve the community.
No,
Uh,
that's good.
yeah.
Because one of the things that I wanted to get into, because a lot of the people that listen to this podcast,
Hmm.
they vary in age, but there's a lot of uh,
Yeah.
younger lot, and a lot of them are kind of like at a crossroads where academically they've kind of at that point where they're kind of deciding, apprenticeship, do I go into medicine,
Yeah.
what do I want to do? Now, you would have at some point been presented with that same dilemma,
Mm.
that same kind of, I've got to make a choice. And, what swayed your decision? How did you go about saying, look, I want to get into medicine? Or was it a case of, I specifically want to become a doctor? What was it?
Yeah, it was kind of varied path to get in becoming a doctor. I mean, initially I was at school and my parents were always like, apply yourself. My father being a teacher, he never kind of pushed us, but it was more kind of apply yourself.
Yeah,
Fundamentally, they wanted us to be good people,
yeah,
follow the dean, be good to other people. They didn't want anyone coming and saying, "Look, what's his son up to?" That what every parent wants.
yeah.
But then we were always aware that it's important to work hard at school.
Mhm.
It's important to kind of apply yourself. I was never a bookworm, I'll be honest.
Ah, okay.
I was never a bookworm, but I think that's where my brother was really, really helpful because he's a bit older than me,
Yeah.
so he'd been through the process. So he'd seen it all, so he knew the mistakes that can be made, and his guidance was kind of without his guidance, I wouldn't have become a doctor. I'll be honest with you.
So yeah, I was going to say thank you for mentioning that point as well. In that, you said obviously without his guidance. So how important do you think it is where if you're in a situation where you don't have an older brother or someone that's a positive role model, like just how important is it to have a mentor, for example?
It's vital because I'm just talking from a kind of a personal experience. As I said, I wasn't like a bookworm, but I did, try to apply myself in lessons. But then having that guidance of, you go to school and say, okay, work hard. And well, what does work hard actually mean?
Yeah,
So what am I meant to do? Just come back home, go and sit in my bedroom and work for 3, 4 hours. It's open, and not many people have that temperament to do that.
yeah,
So my brother, he was kind of, yeah, work hard, but work smart.
yeah,
So, and he was his guidance around how to kind of make sure that you're prepared for exams, prepared to meet those milestones that you need to meet. That was where he came into his own, really.
okay,
And the lessons I picked up from that. So, he'd like I said, he'd been through A levels, he'd been through GCSEs, kind of got me through that process. And by that age, you're kind of well equipped to use those at university as well. So that's where his help came in terms of how to study, when to study, and to study smart. So you don't need to work 5 hours a day,
yeah,
but just study smart. 45 minutes an hour. And like I said, if there's people, kind of there's students out there who have that passion. They want to do something with their life. They want to get into a good profession, get a job that they're really passionate about. But if they're struggling with guidance, then teachers is definitely an outlet. But I think it's important for them to talk to people who've been through the process as well,
Yeah,
and that's what they did. To get where they have to, and they all kind of professions, they are approachable. So if you, for example, if someone came to me and just wanted a bit of advice, I'm more than happy to sit down with them. I
yeah,
do it all the time. In my kind of GP practice, we have people doing A levels. They might come for a week or two, so I sit down with them and I say, look, people are just going to say, "Hey, just work hard, work hard, work hard," which is important. But I try to kind of give them some more specific advice,
yeah.
how I can help them.
So it's not like finish school and then cram for 5 hours a day every night for 7 days a week, because that's not practical, is it?
I mean, which 14-year-old can do that? Let's be realistic. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it's off-putting as well. If you tell a kid that is entering GCSEs that this is what you got to do to then get the grades that you have to do, how many will just kind of fall at the first hurdle?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see how it will just switch off academically at that point, won't they? So
Yeah, they'll just think it's too much, and then especially in our culture, because from in Pakistan, the way our parents were brought up, it's almost that kind of what they call ratta. I don't know if you've heard of that.
yep, yep,
Just keep learning, keep studying,
yeah,
and you're not working hard unless you're staying up till 9, 10 o'clock, just working. It's a bomb. But if you look at the way, kind of Caucasian students do it, how organized they are, how kind of they fit everything else in socially as well. They do their sports, they have the social kind of events, they do everything they want to do, but they also fit studying in. So it's getting a timetable. You have to be organized, you do have to be a bit disciplined. There's no getting away from that. But anything that's worth doing is not easy. And I think it's more how you apply yourself, how you get that discipline in your life, that even if it's an hour a day, even an hour a day is not easy.
no, no, yeah, I
it's
agree.
it's difficult, but if you can do that and if you can work smart, then you'll get good results. And it's not just for like becoming a doctor. I think it serves you well going forward. Once you go into employment, you realize what the real world is like.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if you can just kind of get these habits already in place, then it's not an effort.
Yeah, I think because
Sorry to interrupt you. I think one thing my brother said, and I just want to kind of mention that, is if you are disciplined for about 4 or 5 years of your life, for the rest, you'll be setting your timetable. So, for example, you'll be setting your agenda.
yeah,
Whereas if you just, kind of chill out or don't really do what you need to do
yeah,
between, ages of kind of 13, 14 up to 18, 19, then afterwards someone else will tell you how your day is going to run. This is what rota you're going to do. You're going to have to.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that kind of resonated with me going forward.
I think that's an all around good saying, actually.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So because one of the things I was going to say was obviously everyone has a different kind of academic level. So it's not to say that everybody I'm speaking to through the video is that you're all going to become doctors,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there's different approaches you can take that suit your academic style. So some people might be a bit more hands-on.
yeah,
They might want to go into kind of an apprenticeship field, something engineering related,
yeah. Mm.
and so forth. But it's just a case of just be a bit smart about how they approach the study for it.
Yes.
Don't just kind of give up as soon as it gets a bit difficult.
Mm.
Um, but speaking of that aspect of it, so when you first would have gone through the medical, training, all the various degrees and stuff like that, did you have to go on like a placement, different part of the UK, or did you manage to get it here?
In A levels, you have to do a couple of weeks as work experience. So I managed to get that at my local GP surgery
All right.
through my local GP. Very nice of him, 2 weeks of experience. But then once a week or once a month, I'd kind of go into the hospital, shadow one of the consultants to see what the job is like, to get a feel for the profession.
Yeah.
Um, because you need to have a feel of the profession. Is this for me?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, initially I thought I'd go more down the law field.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed English, I enjoyed writing, and I enjoyed kind of expressing myself through writing. And
Yeah.
but then the more I looked into it, kind of the work experience, and I realized it's just not all science and kind of you might sometimes think, oh, it's just boring science. It's a combination of the science and the communication, and so that kind of. And I've always been fascinated in how the human body works. what is good for the human body, what isn't good for the human body, how you can heal yourself. And I mean, in Pakistan, my granddad, he was a herbal doctor.
Like a Hakim.
Hacking, yeah, essentially, and it was very well known. People would come from like, various cities, sometimes traveling a good 50, 60 miles just to go and see him. And when we'd go to Pakistan, I'd see him speaking to the patients really and explaining, this will help this will help your digestive system in such a way. And so I always had an interest about it, but it was more at school. It was just apply yourself, see how the exams go. Then it came to deciding what I want to do, and it was more kind of a thought, well, looking at it going forward, I do feel kind of medical field is the
So
way I want to.
have you at any point, because I mean, if I asked you, have you ever found a job hard? The answer is always going to be, look, you have good days, bad days.
Yeah.
But have you ever had like a point where you think, "Oof, you know, I need a break from this. This is really difficult," or have you always been able to just kind of trudge along?
I'm quite a practical person, so I'm definitely more suited to working than studying.
Hmm.
So when I was at medical school, there was one placement that was quite tough for me. So when you were asking the previous question, have you ever to travel to another part of the country? So at medical school, you do have placements, and I think the furthest I went was about 50 miles from my university. That was okay. I was with my friend. That was fine. But it was when I had to travel to this particular GP practice, 8-week placement. I didn't really get on with the GP,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it was quite tough. I never thought about, okay, I don't want to carry on because I was kind of 4 feet about it. And I think in terms of when I started university in the first year, the first kind of 3, 4 months, I felt a bit lost
Hmm.
in terms of my academic work. And I think that was probably due to the fact that I'd veered away from the structure that I'd basically implemented over the 2, 3 years of my GCSEs and A levels. So
Yeah.
as soon as I went back to that structure, academically I was fine. And I think
Got you.
that's why it's so important to have someone mentoring you to sit down with you there. In Sheffield, they had a very kind of, I don't know if you've heard of Steve Peters,
No, no.
worked with the England football team and Olympics.
Right.
Olympic team, so he's really kind of up there. And it was quite in the first year. He was telling us exactly what my brother had been telling me for the years before. How to organize your work, how to study smart, how to study in 40-minute blocks, or rather than sitting down for 2, 3 hours. How
Yeah.
to organize your work, just review your work. And once I got back to that academically, it was fine. But I enjoyed uni, but yeah, that one placement was slightly tough because she was quite demanding, and it was she was kind of pushing me a lot.
Was there but when you went into a placement like that? Because the only reason I'm asking about
Yeah,
this particular thing is because sometimes you get people where, and I know this has happened, where some of the younger lads, they either get a job or they'll get on some kind of apprenticeship, and as soon as they encounter difficulty,
yeah,
they just melt. They literally melt, fizzle away, and they've been babied throughout their whole life, so they're just not really able to kind of push through, if that makes sense. So they haven't got that kind of ethic. They're just like, oh, I've fallen into a job. I'm spoiled as it is.
yeah,
I'm not going to do this because they're giving me grief. Whereas in
yeah,
your case, you would have been like, look, this is the career I've chosen.
yeah.
I'm going to get through this.
Because that person who's standing as a barrier, so, number one, if someone's hard on me, I always reflect on myself. So there were things I could do to improve in that
Yeah,
situation. There always will be. Unless you get someone who's really obtuse, there's
yeah,
always going to be a situation that. So I try. Number one, focus on myself.
yeah,
Number two, I also thought, well, even if I focus on myself, do exactly what she wants. Even if again she puts up resistance, at the end of the day, I've got to remember I'm doing medicine for me.
yeah.
It's 8 weeks. She doesn't represent medicine as such. She's just a part. She's just someone who's there, part of the process. So actually, sometimes I thrive when you come into a situation where you have to deal because life isn't. You're not going to get everything on a plate, are you?
Yeah,
And to be fair, it'd be a bit boring if everything was on a plate.
yeah, actually,
And
yeah,
so you have to sometimes build a bit of mental resilience. And I think I built up quite a bit of mental resilience because I did my A levels in a place where I was the only Asian.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of St. Theodore's.
You want to say Theodos?
Yeah, sixth form, not the high school,
But like
but the
that,
sixth
yeah.
form. Yeah, yeah. So I went to St. Theodore's, and after I went, I think there was quite a few people did try St. Theodore's and they left a few months and they were saying to me, how did you do it?
Wow.
And I think even the kind of head teacher of St. Theodore's, 2 years into it, he said, I thought you'd leave after 6 months. But I had it in my mind that I know St. Theodore's, for me, going there was better than going to Burnley College or, or traveling an hour somewhere because, again, it was about being smart
Yeah.
and being efficient in what you do. So it was really a choice between Burnley College or St. Theodore's because I live very close. And the distance was same to both. And my parents wanted me to go St. Theodore's as well.
Okay.
And that built a lot of resilience where, he's, especially at that age, between 16 and 18, where you're the only Asian and, socially, a lot of people are just kind of going out there, discovering themselves and that kind of thing. And you're a bit restricted in that sense, but you
Yeah.
also realize what is the bigger picture. So
Yeah.
you've always got to focus on what is the bigger picture. So,
That's
and then going to university, that was completely the opposite. You just meet lifelong friends and you just kind of all that kind of enjoyment, if you will, that you feel, okay, you might have missed out on for that 2 years, but in the long run, it's worth it.
yeah, yeah. That sounds
So
good.
yeah, I went to St. Peter's. So I think that built that mental resilience. So even if at work you come across a situation that you think, it's not great. I've been in one or two tough, like when you work, you basically, as a junior doctor, you work in 4-month blocks.
Okay.
So I've done a few blocks where some of my bosses, so they essentially have a boss that you have to report to, can be a bit tough. And I've had it only once really, but again, it's almost like a water off a duck's back for me. You just kind of focus on yourself, see where you can improve. And I'll be honest, in both cases, so the lady as a student, at the end we kind of shook hands, left on good terms, and my boss, who had a bit of a bit of a not clash with, he was asking certain questions which I think he was being unrealistic about, considering I was the role. I don't want to bore you with the finer
No, no.
details, but I was on a very long rota. I was doing a lot of what we call on calls, more than that I should have been doing. And I don't think he appreciated that, and he wanted certain other things for me to have done by the end of my kind of 4-month block. So then I had to kind of sit down with him, and so at that initial meeting, he got too well, but we sat down again 2 weeks later, and he was fine. So some people can lose heart,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle and feel really down. But you reflect. You do think, okay, it's not a case of everyone else's bad. You do have to first person reflecting on yourself, and then try to improve where you can.
Right, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that
Mm.
experience because it is valuable. Because again, it's very often people tend to kind of lose heart and fizzle out.
Mm.
But then one other thing I want to ask you
Yeah.
is you're based in Burnley. Ultimately, whilst you were born in Birmingham, you are,
I'm Burnley. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're Burnley.
Yeah.
How does it feel helping and healing the people in your area? So I don't necessarily mean, people of our ethnic origin. I mean everyone
Yeah.
in this area, knowing that you're born and bred here,
Mm.
and now people are coming to you with their problems and you're helping them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you sit down and you reflect about it, so, when you're a little kid, you see these uncles, and then 20 years later, you're treating these uncles,
Yeah,
and
no,
yeah,
mashallah.
it's something to reflect on. And, it's really a blessing because, yeah, we're not just talking about our community, but when they do come in and they're giving you du'as, you just think that this job is a privilege, really, isn't it?
Mm.
So you're not just getting that chance to help, but you're getting their du'as as well at the same time.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you can't put a price on that.
Absolutely not.
And then yeah, and then just kind of coming across everyone in the community, because I do consider myself, from Burnley. I enjoy living in Burnley. I loved growing up. It was a beautiful childhood, and it's almost like you are giving a bit back into the community.
Yeah.
Um, so I've treated ex-teachers, so it's really nice. It's really nice to have that. I wouldn't have that if I was working anywhere else.
Well, I mean, it must be a nice feeling when they come to you and they recognize you as well. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They say, yeah, yeah, we remember you, and we have a bit of a catch up with what happened at school, and yeah, I think I treated about 5, 6 ex-teachers actually over
Wow.
over the years, 5 or 6 of them, yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
really nice.
yeah. It's nice. It is definitely nice. It's gives you a bit of a kind of nice fuzzy feeling at the end of it.
That's good. And then, so just still a GP at the moment, aren't you, full time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, oh, yeah.
So one aspect, so that's one aspect of your
Mm.
life, but we also have some other stuff I want to talk about, which is you also have some additional business, or well, what's the best way to put it? Yeah,
I would
just
say
just different
side
businesses,
interest. Yeah,
side
yeah,
interest.
side
Yeah, yeah.
interest. Yeah,
And if you
yeah.
could just tell us about them.
Yeah, one of the reasons I became a GP was because you can combine GP with interest areas of interest. It's a bit difficult if you go into hospital. You kind of sometimes always almost confined to the area of specialism you've chosen.
Yeah,
So if you want to do heart specialism, then it's so full on. You're going to just be a heart specialist. Well, as a GP, you can kind of mix and match.
yeah,
So I do 3 days a week as a GP. And then the other 3 days, I do the it's called vitamin suite, essentially what I've set up, and it's combination of vitamin booster shots and vitamin drips, IV drips, multivitamin drips, or single vitamin drips. It just depends on the kind of what a lot of people know what they want, so they contact me, or some people are a bit unsure of what they want. So the reason I do that is because what I've realized is at GP they come to you and they're already a bit sick. You see,
yeah,
they're already they might be diabetic and they might be quite far along in that process, or they might have an infection. They might keep on getting infections, or they're just lacking in energy, or whatever it is. Rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. It's kind of it's just growing and growing and growing. So looking into kind of vitamins, minerals, essentially our body, that's what it functions on. So if you optimize your vitamin and mineral kind of stores in your body, then I'm not saying you're never going to get ill or
mm,
you're never going to develop a condition, but you're going to be able to live your life well,
yeah.
hopefully. Live your life well. I mean, simple kind of example I can give you is vitamin D.
Yes, sunlight.
Yeah, the sunny D, yeah, the happy D vitamin. We come, the days are getting shorter and shorter. We don't get much sun in this country anyway, so
Yeah,
we're limited with how much vitamin D we get. But and you'll be shocked how many people are actually low in vitamin D. Uh, I personally thought I'd have a good level of vitamin D. I did a
right.
blood test and it was decent, but it wasn't as high as I thought it would be. And I consider myself that, I eat healthy. I try to get outdoors as much as I can.
Plus, you've got your football that you play a lot of as well, and you're still not getting enough vitamin D.
Yeah, that's it. But we play in the dark most of the time. It's at 9 o'clock. So wish we could have a 3 p.m. kickoff. But
Yeah,
so yeah, and vitamin D is essential immunity, muscle. A lot of people when they get the muscle pains, bone pains, it's a precursor for testosterone.
yep, yep, yep.
So we need vitamin D. D3 is essential. So what we do, for example, vitamin D booster shot. One booster shot, your vitamin D will be fine for 8 months.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's decent because then you could come to you in autumn
yeah,
and you're covered for a good chunk of time as well.
good
That's
chunk of
good.
time. Yeah,
What's without going too
yeah.
deep into the science of it, like what?
Mhm.
So if I took a vitamin D shot, so what is it like 50,000 IU's or
The shot that we do is 300,000 units.
wow?
Yeah, yeah, but it's safe. So everything we do is supplement. It's almost like a high-end food supplement, a natural supplement.
Yeah,
So they're all safe. They're all medically kind of grade treatments.
awesome.
We do iron infusions,
I
which
was
is
gonna
good.
say
Yeah,
because I mean, obviously we're talking now as blokes, so we're just thinking in a
yeah.
male-dominated way, but women, we know they have iron level issues, don't they? So
That's the thing. They
need
don't
help.
like the tablets either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it caused some quite a bit of side effects. So a lot of people want that. I mean, we're talking as males. I was doing TRT.
oh yeah,
I was doing that, but I have stopped that. I've stopped that because I don't feel it fits in with the ethos of what I'm trying to do. So I know I try to keep it natural and holistic.
mm,
And with TRT, I was finding that I don't think it's quite as natural as people try to make it
yeah,
out to be. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
There is aspects of the enhancement and stuff like
yeah.
that. So, okay. And then how have you found that aspect of your business to go for you then? Are you getting like a good, interest from the community? Because it is like, it's an extra service, but
Mm,
I mean, I guess the point you're trying to emphasize is that if I have to come to you as my doctor, I'm not coming to have a cup of tea and have a chit chat. I'm coming because I've got a problem.
yeah,
Whereas with the other service that you provide, you're almost saying, look, you want to be ahead of the curve,
yeah.
get your body fueled up right. And how has the community received that? Do they understand what you're trying to do?
A lot of them do. they don't understand all the treatments, so I have to explain quite a few of the treatments. So they may kind of contact me. They want a B12, or they want vitamin D or iron. So then they'll know about these two or three. But we do so many other multivitamins as well. So when I get that chance to sit down and talk to them, and I'll give you a kind of an example of vitamin C drips. A lot of people, they have frequent infections. So I say to them, look, you're getting these frequent infections, you go on antibiotics long term, they're not good for your gut.
Yeah.
They just deplete your good bacteria totally, and it's actually been linked to bowel cancer. Frequent antibiotic use. I don't know if you heard of this trend of bowel cancer going high and high in young, kind of
Yeah.
young adults below the age of 50. And one of the things they've picked up on
It's the gut biome, isn't it?
is the gut biome. And one of the things that kind of has really affected that is the antibiotic use.
Ah.
So some people are now just coming for regular vitamin C drip, and they're saying, look, I haven't needed antibiotics for so long now, because I feel like I can fight these opportunistic infections off. My body's kind of immune system's primed.
Because you get some people where if they just get like a little kind of cold or something, they'll just
Yeah,
take them out like they know
yeah,
in their heart that this is going to take me out for a week regardless, whereas clearly there's a bigger issue here.
yeah, yeah. The immune system might not be as functioning as well, and
Yeah.
like you said, if they're out for a week, it's going to affect their work. They have to take, sick leave and all sorts. And I mean, and it's not nice for you when you're laid out on
Yeah,
bed, isn't it? It's not nice at all.
Well, it makes you start questioning yourself because you're thinking, surely this can't be life,
Yeah,
sick all the time.
yeah,
Because on the flip side, the people that are quite, that are keeping on top of their health and nutrition, they're like fit as a fiddle. It can be quite frustrating sometimes because you could be laid up in bed, looking at them enjoying themselves, going after big walks and all sorts.
yeah. They're going out when it's -10 and they're in a t-shirt.
T-shirt,
Yeah,
shorts.
we all know them, don't we? And you think how they're not getting anything.
Yeah,
And well, I'm not saying they're having vitamin C drips, but they're doing something, aren't they?
clearly. Yeah.
That's helping them. And so, I mean, to be fair, vitamins is the start. I want to just kind of continue this path. I don't know if you've come across the concept of biohacking.
Yeah, yeah. I have.
Yeah, and biohacking can be anything. I mean, exercise is a form of biohacking.
Yeah,
So kind of giving people that holistic advice. So it's not just okay, come for like if you want to come for advice, I can sit down and we chat to them, and that's the one of the aspects I love the most. Because in GP we're a bit rushed, 10-minute appointments, and it does get a bit rushed. Sometimes you feel that, am I really building those relationships? Are they getting everything out? Is the patient getting the service that they really need? Whereas when they come to the clinic, I have more time, and I always say, look, I don't see the clinic as work.
yeah.
I really don't see it as work. I see it as a release, and it's a natural way of enhancing your health.
Plus, because you're enthusiastic about it. It's not say you're not enthusiastic about
Yeah,
being a GP, but it's more that you've got a deeper interest on it, therefore you're kind of following through on it as well. So you've got the biohacking stuff. So is there stuff in the pipeline, that more stuff to come yet, or?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I was mentioning TRT, so I knocked that on the head. I did it for about 18 months, but I mean, I'll just talk a bit about that. So, we're aware of steroids,
Yeah,
anabolic steroids, but TRT isn't steroids, but it's quite a reduced dose of what someone would take as an anabolic steroid.
yeah,
And TRT is monitored, you monitor the bloods, you monitor for side effects. But what I was finding is even with smaller doses, their blood was getting thicker and thicker and thicker. They're more prone to blood clots.
yeah,
Then you're having to give them anti-cancer drugs to offset another side effect. Then you're having to give them some other kind of hormonal treatment to preserve their fertility.
yeah,
So for me, that's not natural.
yeah,
When someone that even if the patient is ready to take that risk, I'm not ready to give that patient that risk. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So for me, it's about kind of natural and holistic, where they don't have to worry about, will I get prostate cancer 10 years down the line, or
yeah.
will I just drop and have a blood clot? Even though they might have signed a consent form, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
With them running that risk. So I'm looking into designing a natural testosterone supplement.
Well, that's good.
I've kind of spoken to people. I want it to be halal. So it's a bit challenging, finding halal kind of manufacturers, but I'll get there. something in the pipeline for
No,
sure. And
I look
yeah,
forward to
yeah,
hearing about it once it's
yeah,
ready.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah, definitely looking. That's one of my big projects.
cool. And then, so that's one of the things you're working on. And
Mm.
then, in terms of where your clinic and stuff is based, whereabouts is it?
The clinic is in the centre of Burnley, where the Royal Mail sorting offices are.
Hmm.
Opposite that, it's so my portion of the clinic called Vitamin Suite. So I work in the Vitamin Suite, and I've opened it with my brother. So he's a MSK doctor. So he's Dr. Amir.
Yep.
He runs the MSK side of things. So both brothers have working together in this clinic. So it's really nice. It just keeps, like I said, my brother's always been there, and he's still there, and we're working together. We kind of bounce ideas off each other. What we do complements each other as well. And alhamdulillah, he's really doing well. I mean, like we were talking about having a goal. He was so determined to become an MSK specialist. He was attending London on a weekly basis while he was working, doing 2-day courses there for a good 2 years
Wow.
to gain his qualification. And once he's gained his qualification, he's just gone from strength to strength. He treats pretty much all MSK type of conditions that you can kind of
Oh,
speak about.
that's awesome.
So yeah, we work in combination. We work in combination, and yeah, inshallah, we'll just kind of keep on developing. It's just been short of just over 2 years now.
That's
We
good.
we
It's good
we
because with I think it would be good for me to speak to your brother at some point
yeah,
as well, just because I know he's worked with a couple of athletes and
he has. Mm,
other people, and it is good for people to know that that facility is there.
yeah.
Just because realistically, I mean, speaking from my own experience, I had a family member who needed just to get a simple referral to, for example, something like a neurophysio. The waiting list was like 2 years.
Yeah,
And likewise, for someone who's a muscle specialist,
yeah,
I can only guess how long a list would that be.
yeah.
But but yeah, so in terms of the timescales, we are starting to kind of get towards a rounding point. So is there anything that you want to kind of share with the communities and
Mm.
and the viewers from yourself, or any words you wanna pass on just to kind of round us off?
Yeah, I think at the moment there's a lot of frustration with kind of GP waiting times and unable to patients kind of complain they can't see GP. And I just want to kind of give a bit of a feedback that we're working very hard to improve that situation, to improve accessibility. Fundamentally, it's not down to the individual GP practice or the individual GP. There's constraints there, from the government in terms of funding. Governments are doing as much as they can as well. So
Hmm.
maybe things will change soon.
Yep.
Labour have, I think they're releasing something in a couple of days actually, but regarding
Ooh.
the NHS.
Yeah, oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
West
yeah,
Streeton said he was going to do an announcement, didn't
he
he?
was
Yeah.
going to do an announcement. So maybe the accessibility will change. But going forward, I love my job. Like you said, we've talked about the kind of vitamin side, but all of it, the foundation of that is my kind of day-to-day job. I consider myself, as a GP, general practitioner, and I'll continue to do that. I won't leave that because
Yeah,
I
we
enjoy
need more
it.
GPs in Burnley. Don't be retiring anytime soon.
No, no, no. No, inshallah, that's a long way away. But no, I do enjoy my job, alhamdulillah, and I feel privileged to do that job. And if any youngsters thinking about it, I would definitely not put them off. A lot of people, they put them off. They see the strikes going on with the young doctors, but don't be put off by things like that. See, I'm sure that situation will change, but even if it doesn't, it's still a very worthy career
Okay.
to have.
Just clarify the name of the business and the location.
Okay, yeah, Vitamin Suite and my MSK. We're located on Parker Street in Burnley, opposite the Royal Mail sorting offices.
Yeah, perfect. Also, I just want to say to viewers, it is slightly ironic as Dr. Harris is talking that I'm constantly wiping my nose. It's just my hay fever has been really bad today, as
Yeah,
in past few weeks I've been fine. Just today, just gushing. So apologies.
hopefully.
And you might not have noticed, but the light that I've been using is slightly faulty, and it's been pulsing throughout the podcast, and it's really annoying. So
Um,
for the viewers, if there's any bright spots, my apologies. It's my equipment. It's not the light coming out of the doctor.
I was going to claim the credit then. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say, thank you very
No,
much for doing this
no,
because
thanks for inviting me.
yeah, it was literally a shot up the dark. I have a mutual friend, Rafida, and she just kind of got in touch and said, get on. But there's one question I was supposed to ask you. Yeah, a viewer question from Jali. What is this about Wednesday football? What should I be asking you?
I think Jali needs to just kind of be bit more specific, about this Wednesday football shenanigans.
Is he, unless you've lost to his team or something, I don't know.
No, me and Jali, we tend to play on opposite sides,
Oh,
so I
that's,
think it's probably something to do with that. No, Jali, I think the way he's UEFA. He is UEFA. So if UEFA are looking for someone to organise the football calendar, get Jali on it.
yeah, yeah,
He'll
yeah.
sort it out.
Well, mashallah, that guy, he stayed on the father sides for years. I rate
I think he plays. I think it's full-time job for him now, isn't it? Five days a week for Jali.
him. Respect to him.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Mashallah.
yeah, on that note, thanks again and over and out.